Hello, and welcome to another update video about XLM. Stellar. Yeah, we looked at that chart a while ago. Not much happened since then. Just been moving sideways over recent weeks, and there were a few things we talked about. So first of all, the white wave count here is, in my opinion, quite likely. Yeah, so what we have to understand is that so far the price here rallied only in 3 waves. It's a very choppy price structure, and we could have a top in place. Well, we have a top in place in a 3-wave structure. Okay, so when price reached here 19.7 cents, 20 cents. The question is, was this wave 2 or is wave 2 extending? That's possible. For example, wave 2 could extend in a larger ABC structure. So that's what I'm watching at the moment, but this is a poor probabilities chart, okay? It's also, it only rallied in 3 waves and broke down, however, in 5. It's first of all not really a clearly bullish chart. You need to understand that. So I can only always warn about these charts. They are not very reliable. They do a lot of corrective price moves, a lot of headwinds, a lot of up and down, you just see how choppy they move, right? Anyway, as long as the 10.9 cent level is holding, I could, for a hopium count, assume that we are in the yellow wave count. And then, I mean, that's a tradable count, right? So we said that, okay, you know, as long as this level is holding here, the 61.8 retracement, I can get away with understanding this as a diagonal structure. And you had a clear, invalidation point, basically, even though in a diagonal, Fibonacci levels are less reliable. However, you see it reacted here to the golden ratio, 10.9 cents, the 61.8 retracement level. And against that level, you could have, you know, if you wanted to, take a long position, for example, because we know that below that level, the yellow wave count would have reduced significantly in likelihood. Even now, it's already it's a low probability count, because with the diagonal, you cannot trust a diagonal until you see it, until it's complete. And even then, basically the process with the diagonal is you wait for 5 waves up to occur on this time frame, and then you basically buy the pullback. But even then you don't trust it, because diagonals often fail, okay? Nevertheless, it's a valid count. We had a valid level here to watch, a valid support level, and I gave you, I think in the last video, my view that, okay, a break above the trend line here could be a signal that the wave 5 is starting. So that's sort of what I'm watching from an analysis point of view. But this here looks also very much like a 3-wave move so far. So no hope really that this yellow wave count plays out, but it's something I'm watching, I'm tracking. Potentially, if we get the 5 waves, then yeah, you know, we could track the following ABC structure and provide a reliable setup. This here is just sort of, nothing reliable, okay? Because it could easily be the case that this wave 2 topped already and that we're heading down in a 3rd wave breakdown to lower, okay? Much lower. And in this scenario, in the white wave count, the micro count would be 1, let me think, 1, 2. This here is probably still a 3rd wave in the making, then a 4th wave and a 5th wave. And within the 3rd wave, we had a small 1, 2, 3. This is a wave 4 and 1 more low to go. Either way, what is very important is to understand here the 10.9 cent level. As long as this level is holding, I think we have some potential upside pressure. Price broke above the descending trend line, and it could move higher here. But below that level, we are probably coming down, first of all, to that trend line that we've got here, which is sitting, depending on when price would reach it, sitting around 8.8 to 9 cents. And then we see how it reacts there. But if it breaks below the trend line, which I show you now on the 4-day chart, it's quite a meaningful trend line. That would not be good. That would not be good, okay? Because then we are breaking a, quite meaningful trend line that has provided support quite a few times. Depending on how we draw it. But this is probably the way to do it, because we have most touch points. One tiny fake out, but still can be respected. And then, so that's the concern I have with XLM. As you can see, it moves in similar ways as XRP. So the main problem is not necessarily that it's long-term bearish. Well, you could argue it is because it topped only in a 3-wave move. Nevertheless, it is, you could still argue, some kind of an uptrend, right? So it can always develop some kind of a diagonal, but from an Elliott wave point of view, it's just not a reliable setup, or not even Elliott wave. It's just not a reliable chart because it is just ranging. So nobody knows when this range will end, okay? Nobody knows. So it can just carry on for years, actually. So, I mean, look at the size of that triangle. It started 2018. Now, let's assume you buy. You could be caught in this range until 2026, 2027, 2028. What happens if it breaks to the downside, right? That's the problem. The main problem with this chart, it's just not a very desirable chart because it's just moving always in 3-wave moves, and the last move down was actually a 5-wave move. So that raises a lot of concerns. All right, so hopefully that's clear. I mean, you know, if it goes higher in the yellow wave count, it has to hold the last swing low and the 10.9 cent level, and then it could reach the red zone again, starting at 20.6 cents. But if we break below that 61.8 retracement level, and it is a bit of a pivot point, then I think we come down to the trend line, which will be the next decision point, and a break below the trend line. I mean, that would certainly be quite bearish, or would have some bearish implications. Yeah, just look at the white wave count. If we say, okay, it came down in a wave 1, the bearish count, rallied in a wave 2. If it comes down from here, it would be a super bearish chart, because then it only produced a very, very shallow wave 2, where it theoretically could have rallied all the way up to 55 cents to max it out, which would have been, at least it would have shown there is some upside pressure there, right? So unfortunately, I can't give you more insights on this chart. It gets requested all the time, even though I just don't see it as a very desirable chart. The advantage on the XRP chart, at least, is, if I compare that to XRP came down in 3 waves, yeah? Whereas this one here is a 5-wave move down. It's slightly different, but anyway, it could be to a degree. It's always a matter of interpretation as well, right? But what I'm saying here, there is no clear setup because we have not here no 5 waves to the upside, really. Okay, the setup was here, a short trade setup basically, which so far worked out against resistance basically, but it was never really great reward to risk ratio because we're quite far away from the 78.6 FIB level up there. So yeah, we'll see if if things get clearer in the coming weeks and months. I mean, that's what I'm watching anyway. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.